Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life. And I know I don't have my mic or anything on. I just got off our evening prayer call and I thought I'd jump on here for fun. It's the night before profession and tell you what I was up to today. So I'll be honest, I grabbed this morning that new Little Office of Baltimore. Oh, you haven't seen the review yet. But I'll tell you, I did grab this Little Office of Baltimore and I did the prayers for the hours, but I did the seeking after God antiphons and psalms, and so I did a couple of the offices out of here. That was lovely. And then I went on to YouTube. I don't know if you've ever found the LibriVox recordings. So it's people who read books, classic books, so books that are in the public domain. They read them, so there's no video. You click on it and there's no video, but there is the book. And I've done it before, so I started listening to the Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales. I'll show you what that looks like here. Maybe not. Sorry, I pulled up the comments by accident. I didn't want to do that. Let's see here. Can you see that, friends? So that's what it looks like. And I went ahead and listened to that. I got decently far in there. I was like an hour in. I did that while I was out gardening. Because you know me, my mind's always going and I just needed to be still. But I kind of need something to fidget with my hands or draw or something. And so I went out and I'm trying to reclaim, you probably remember this, I was trying to reclaim a section of the yard over there on the side. And so I was pulling out all these viney things, gill over the ground and mock strawberry and some violets. I was pulling them out. So I was just doing, I probably did maybe 4 foot by 3 foot section of that, pulled that out while I was listening to the book, and it was very lovely. And I'm planning on maybe getting a couple of friends together to do that as a book study to share. And I thought it was a very timely book to do because it does talk about the things that we're supposed to be doing, either have in place or have in place shortly after our profession. And that is things like getting a spiritual director. And I love it because in the book he tells you the number one thing you should be doing to have a spiritual director is really pouring your heart out to God and begging him for a spiritual director. I haven't been doing that. I've been asking on the internet and whining about it, but I have not really been praying about it. So that made a big difference. The other thing he said that you can do to really get started is sit down and do a big examination of conscience and a general confession. That can be a great way to really kick that off. My question then is, do you do that with the same person? Do you find a priest to be your spiritual director and then do the general confession with him at the beginning? And I don't know, like he said in the book, you may not really need it to be forgiven for the sins. They may have already been things that were absolved. In that case, it's okay. He seemed to indicate that you should still take that to confession. Some priests today don't like that, but even if you did the exercise where you got one of the big questioning things of examination of conscience, and like he said, you go back the furthest you can in your memory and do that examination of conscience, do it in a notebook, write it all out. It's going to be a great exercise for you to make a clean slate. And of course, when you're done with the list, you can feel free to burn it. You don't have to keep it or anything. It's not some little skeleton in your closet that the kids are going to come across one day or something. No, you can get rid of it when you're done. But just really to sit and do that as an exercise. Like you pointed out, are you someone who goes and confesses and then you're like, whoo, no sin, gang, and you tweet that out and then you're like done, because you've gone, you've confessed it, you've done your penance, and you're just free of it. But we all know sometimes it takes a little bit more work than that. And he said sometimes sitting there and doing it in the notebook is really going to help you to see that. It may help you pull out some goals for you for spiritual direction. Things that you see, you may see a pattern that you didn't see before. And so maybe there is something that you need to work on in there, or just something you need to ask for more prayers for. Like because I don't know the nature of what yours might look like. And I don't know the nature of mine because I really hadn't sat and done it yet. So, I totally have a notebook out. So I just got a little to-do list on there. And I have the notebook out. I didn't do that yet. And what I did do this morning is I did exactly what I've been thinking lately I want to do. I wanted to write out the Our Father in one column and the Magnificat in the other. And I did that and realized I needed more lines for the Magnificat. And it took me like 4 or 5 pages to get it written out. But so now I have the Magnificat completely written out with space. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to do an expansive prayer journal on that. We've talked about that before as like in the style of St. Francis where he took the Our Father and expanded it. I wanted to do that with the Magnificat. I think I've done it with the Hail Mary before, and I really want to do it with the Magnificat. And I was thinking, now that it's set up, that might be something that I do tomorrow night after profession, and that could be something really lovely to do. So super excited. Yeah, that's it. Oh, don't forget, I didn't include the 3 promises that the actual 3 things that we profess aren't in that pre-profession video I did before, because I'm going to do a whole video on that. That's just too much of a discussion to include in another discussion. It just would have been too long. It would have been too much. There's a great Franciscan joke in there. We'll get to that later. Thanks, Bob. But I just wanted to come to you tonight and just really share that little pre-profession jitters. There's still, little logistics people working out. Somebody was literally just texting me what's the link going to be for the live stream and all. So I hope you're going to get a chance to watch it. If you don't watch it live, it is going to be out there on the internet forever at the Companions of St. Anthony. My fraternity is actually going to put it up, as well as I'm going to link it into the playlist, our Blooming Catholic Life playlist that's on my channel. It should be up there permanently. Especially if I do something dumb, like, catch somebody on fire with my candle. There have been a lot of jokes made, folks. I have no plans of doing that. But there have been a lot of jokes made, or, if I slip and fall or something super, super goofy. I gotta get this, and this person's freaking out. I will talk to you later. God bless you, friends. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's all about that guy really getting closer to Jesus in the footsteps of this guy down here, St. Francis. God bless you, friends. Bye.